invariably a considerate driver will let you out at present. However, lights would cause frustration and not reduce waiting times at junctions.
I think that's a detail that will be to consider at the next stage, as Colin outlined, that if it did go forth for further investigation, we haven't got those details, and it'll be down to Somerset Highways to satisfy themselves that the impacts of whatever is proposed or planned or whatever would not exacerbate any issues that we have currently. And as for examples of signals on 60-mile-an-hour speed limit roads, I can give you several, but not in this meeting. I can give you several examples.
It's already been said about would highways accept the proposals of the concerned parties? Would they carry out their own assessment and survey? And I recollect that the council considered making a donation toward any such survey. Would they, or would we be expected to make a donation in this case? I consider this would be supporting financially a private planning application if we did.
Well, that has not come up at this stage, and that's something we would have to address if it did ever get suggested. But as far as I know, we're not going to be putting any money up at this stage. Yes.
Going back to excuse me, going back to when we started discussing affordable housing, the site mention was considered and was considered to be inappropriate. We moved to another part of the village. The people that are responsible for the proposals in front of us have hijacked the council and come up with proposals about improvements to the traffic in the area for permission to build houses. There's so much don't know exactly. It may be this amount of money if you allow them to build a number of houses. It may be a bit more if you allow them, but I believe it's foot in the door, and it will be a fact that you allow them to build so many houses, you'll get so much money, but then they'll be coming back to say that they need to build more houses to be able to finance the operations that are beneficial to the village.
I think it's true to say, and I'm looking at Bob now, that if it did go to the next stage, those sort of underlying issues would be addressed as part of the P4 process.
Certainly my understanding is at the moment from the presentation that we all went to, most of them managed to get to last week, that in effect what they're proposing at the moment is the sort of stage one of light control on Brent Street and the A38, not involving the later stages of Harp Road and turning right into Brent Street off the A38. My understanding is they're saying that they can fund that from this development.
Yeah.
If the further future phases were wanted, then funding would have to come from somewhere, and that would be a matter to be dealt with at that time, and it would be up for the community and the council to decide whether the additional benefit was worth whatever you were being asked to do it for. I mean, my own view, Mr. Chairman, at the moment is, for a very long time, the Fox and Goose junction has been an issue in the village. The layout that we've currently got there was installed about 20 years ago as a temporary measure whilst they worked out a better solution. And to be honest, we've been on a waiting list in terms of were we going to get to the top and get county to deal with it for us. The problem is the waiting list is based on a point system, which in effect says the more accidents and the more fatalities you have, the more likely you are to get the work carried out. We have had a number of accidents. We haven't, thank heavens, had fatalities, and therefore we're not on the priority list at county. And for the information that I think we've had directly from county, they've made it plain to us. They don't see the Fox and Goose junction as a priority for them. I think at this stage, I still feel that this is something that's worth looking at because it could solve the problem, but we haven't got the facts in terms of the detailed analysis. But none of us are highways engineers. That's the job of the county council, and they will do that if and when there is an application in front of them. So at this stage, I think it would be sensible to in effect stay in the situation as it is, take it to the next stage and see what the proposals are and whether they do stack up, and at that point we can make an informed decision. Whereas at the moment, if we were to pull the plug now, I think it potentially leaves us never quite knowing what might have come out. And to be brutally frank, if we then go back to the county council in a few years' time and say, please sort out the Fox and Goose Junction, they may well turn around and say, well, you had an opportunity, you didn't think it was a priority. So it may, and again, I don't particularly want to wait until we've got the fatalities scoring us the points.
No, Malcolm?
If highways have had 20 years of being unable to find an answer to this junction, it's amazing that Colin could come up with a proposal
I don't think that's quite fair.
coinciding
That's
with...
not fair, Malcolm, because it's not a question of solving an issue. They would do something about that junction, but they have to prioritise the work. And as a former road builder, I do know, as Bob said, that there is a minimum number of deaths have to occur at any particular spot before action is taken, because they are limited by how much money they have, and unfortunately that's the criteria they work on.
As a professional road builder, then you'll know how much we can get for 200,000. And if that is the case, why haven't Somerset County Council done something yet?
Well, they have
because they've written to us recently, formally, as a result of one of our parishioners taking it up directly with Somerset, stating that the Fox and Goose is not considered to be at the top of their A list for development. And notwithstanding that, there are not the funds to do that anyway. So,
well, if that is the decision from county, why are we, as unprofessionals, getting involved?
we're not getting involved,
No, we're not
Peter.
getting
We're asking Somerset to get involved on our behalf formally through the planning application.
Yeah, that's
We are not doing that. And as regards Malcolm's points about traffic lights, etc., it's way down the line, and there are all sorts of ways of controlling traffic lights nowadays that can be restricted to times in the day, to rush hours, to off-peak times, on-peak times, all sorts of ways of doing it. And it's up to Somerset and the appointed road traffic people to look at this and to take a creative approach to it. So to reiterate once again what Bob said, to withdraw from the process now would be giving up an opportunity that we've sought for years to address in this village. That is the problems of that junction. Because at some stage, and someone is going to get caught, particularly with an elderly driver coming out of this village. And so...
But for that benefit, we have to put up with a new housing estate. That's what I'm worried about.
But unfortunately, we have Sedgemoor looked at the requirement for affordable housing. There is a requirement, whether it is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 houses, and to build those, we do know that they have to be funded by houses at full cost. Therefore, if we are to pursue that, and it has been said already that we need the affordable houses, we're going to be looking at something like upwards of 20 houses, and wherever you put it, you are going to create a traffic problem of however many vehicles are kept at the houses. So that is one of the downsides of any development, and it is not only in this village, it is going the length and the breadth of the land where affordable housing is being widely discussed.
Well, this has nothing to do with affordable housing.
It all part and parcel of it.
That isn't.
No, this is a situation of a cost and benefit to this community.
Can I ask something? We vote now. Will there be another vote on it?
of
course
Yes,
there will.
We're not voting to say this is the
Yes,
deal and
this is
end
what
all.
I'm saying.
All we're saying is we want to...
No, don't laugh
Yeah,
at me.
no.
I'm very, very serious
But
about this.
Bob has made this point, and I have made it
Yeah, but you're...
quite clear. Bella, yes,
That's all I need to know.
there
Yes.
will be
Okay,
further
that's all I'm
opportunities to
asking you,
vote.
Colin.
When
Yeah.
planning comes forward.
This isn't a planning application.
It's a principle.
It's a principle.
And I think the issue that
I'm sorry.
the issue we have
Yes,
to
you've
underline,
upset me now.
Yeah.
the issue we have to remember is
Speak.
that we have an opportunity, or the village may have an opportunity to have an improvement to solve a problem which in probably most of our lifetimes will never ever get solved without. That is the potential. I'm not saying that's what we want, but that is the reality of the situation. There is no money within Somerset County Council to pay for any improvements. Now,
Before you take any sort of decision on voting, we've had three pieces of correspondence, 2 emails from residents in Brent Knoll who actually were opposed to the council supporting this principle, and one very much supporting the whole project, the Fox and Goose project. Now, I have to say that in all 3 pieces of correspondence, all of them have misplaced their points, and as much as they're looking at it as a planning application, not as a principle. If you look at both the emails plus what I have here in front of me, they're all looking at it as a planning application, and they're trying to address the planning issues.
Well, that will
they're
be
not
helpful.
planning issues that we're looking at. So just so that you realise, we have had some correspondence,
Yeah.
and there's a fair balance. We've had one in favour and two against. So just so that you're aware, there is some correspondence.
60% against and 34.
But they're actually, but they're not actually, in all fairness, they're not actually addressing the issue. They're actually just in the planning side of it, which of course is not something that we are now addressing.
so can somebody make a proposal that we could take this matter forward, or not, as the case may be?
Yes, I will, Mr. Chairman. I would make the proposal that we support a development on land to the north-east of Brent Knoll, subject to the provision of traffic lights in advance of the development. In other words, we want to see the road improvements put in place prior to any development, should the planning application go forward, but that we should investigate it further.
So we're supporting the principle of the process at this stage, not any planning.
The feasibility of the principle.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So can I have a show of hands for those in favour, please?
So we've got a proposal, Colin's proposing it, do you second it?
Oh, second, who?
No, I don't.
Gentlemen. Can I show who's in favour, please? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And those against? 4, 6, 5, 4.
So, okay. So it's supported by a majority of 5 to 4.
Can we now get Andrew back in, please, Malcolm? She's really frozen. Yeah, she's run away. This item on the agenda, I didn't understand. Thank you.
Sorry.
Do you want to?
Yes, if you could.
The item B of 4.B, clarity on issues raised at the October, because I was indisposed at the last meeting and wasn't here and had to rely on YouTube, there were a couple of items that I wanted to see clarity on to make sure that they're being followed up correctly. Because otherwise I may go off at a tangent and do the wrong thing, because I wasn't able to ascertain on YouTube exactly what we were asking. So if I just go through a few items and just to let you know what I've done so far. As far as the planning applications are concerned, on the 5th of October, they've obviously been uploaded to Sentinel. Okay, so they now have the responses that we gave at that meeting. Concerns raised under the minute 19616, the crumbling road edge on Ham Road, just beyond Chilled Park on the left-hand side, heading towards Burnham. I wasn't quite sure if I understood exactly where that was. Could somebody just
The
clarify?
last house on the left,
Going out of Brent Knoll.
coming out toward Barrow,
Last house on the
before
left.
the double bend.
On the left. So near Erica Cottage.
They won't do anything about it because it's off the tarmac.
It's the first house, isn't it?
It's the last house
It's
as
called
you
the
go out.
It's called the cottage.
The cottage.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
No, the Shield Barn. It's the last house
Children.
going out.
Well, probably both then.
Well, there is a great
What
big
is
bit,
it?
but it's
It's
off
all
the tarmac.
It's really crumbled away.
Well, is it actually on the highway or is it off the
Yeah,
highway?
It's
well,
not
I think-
highway.
Right, a bit
Well,
well.
that's something else.
I will follow up with the county and they'll soon come back and tell us if it's not their responsibility.
So you already filled in because if you go in it, you'll hit your axle.
There's also a water leak report in Hart Road near the village sign.
No, that was in Barrow Road.
That was in Barrow Road, is
Yeah.
it? Okay.
And it's on top of it's come out of a hydrant, out of a manhole.
Yes.
So that's near where you come into the village then with the sign.
Yeah,
sign.
yeah.
On the left. Yeah.
Is it still happening?
Yes.
It is, okay, so I'll get that's probably a matter for the water
It's
company
the
rather than the
stock
council. I
leaking.
think. Just going to make sure there's anything else. There was a suggestion made about rear of toilet block needs a complete tidy up. Now the fencing has been removed. I just wanted to, is that all in?
Still needs to-
Still needs
Yeah,
doing,
I've
okay.
sprayed it, but I think it's the wrong time of year to spray it
It's
anyway.
sweeping.
In hand, then okay, that's fine. Toilet block floor need to repaint. Did I need to do anything about that in terms of getting any estimates,
No.
quotes or whatever?
No.
It was just looking shabby.
Shabby, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and there's a leaky tap. Now I've spoken to George on that one. This is a leaky tap in the gents that needs repairing. George is going to attend to that. Okay, so he's already been asked to do that.
I was in there the other day and just turned the tap slightly and it stopped leaking.
All right.
So it does need having,
I'll ask George to look at it anyway.
Probably need a washer.
He's going to go and have a look at it. And then also from the November meeting, you wish to have the book reinstated for the green inspections.
Yes.
Okay, so at the November meeting, I'll get a book sorted out so that you can use it instead of the current arrangement. The wreath has been ordered through Sally Wingate. I believe, Peter,
Yes.
I did speak to her anyway, but I think you'd already spoken to her as well so
Yeah.
on that, so that's all in hand.
But if you can put it on for payment,
Payment for the November
yeah,
meeting.
I'll find out because she was worried about who we get
Okay.
to pay. So
All
I'll
right.
let you know.
I'll put that on the November
Yeah. Please.
agenda. All payments have been made, including the very large one of £10,000 of Sutcliffe Play, and including obviously the £2,000 VAT, which we will obviously be reclaiming back. The Hills to Levels project, obviously Colin and I have been in touch because there's some letters that had to be, you received the letters, Tom, did you, I sent you?
Yes.
Yeah, they've now gone off. And the bus provision in the village, we're still waiting a reply from Crossville and Baker's Dolphin on that. And I think that's probably all. Site visits from to the
Waterworks.
waterworks.
Yeah.
I know John, I think John, you'd arranged something.
Well, yeah, I had an email, it's Andy.
Yeah, Andy Roberts.
He sent me an email today
Right.
saying he was waiting to hear from you as to whether you wanted to do it. And I said, well, that's absolutely fine, but I might like to have a little private visit if it's never taken forward.
Mm.
So I said I'd like to go, but
I mean, your hand.
Can we agree a
All
date
wanted to go.
if anybody wants to go?
I think we ought to.
Yeah.
All need to go? Okay.
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, how's the best thing to do? So if I speak to Andy, he'll suggest,
Well, wasn't there
ask for some dates.
something about you showing the school around it would be
It's been
beneficial?
shown, yeah. We could do that, tag on to that.
The hole is 15 metres deep.
I've seen many a hole in my life, so I'm happy for you to.
Very close. Well, you can go and look into it, sir.
No, I really don't.
I'll go back to him and suggest that perhaps you'll take on maybe to the school visit or...
No, the school's been.
School's been?
They,
Oh, right, okay.
they did it, they went last week.
Okay, so we'll organise another visit then. That's good. So do you want, could you
Look into
suggest the dates?
In the toilet.
Have you got any dates in mind? I mean,
My convenience.
I'll just send an email out and if you just let me know any dates you can't make. Is that the best
Well,
idea?
and also confirm whether you want to go or not.
Yes, confirm if you want to go.
It's not a compulsory visit.
Okay. And I think that really just clarifies some of the points that came up from the previous meeting.
Okay,
Thank you. Just sharing those with you.
Thank you. And then item 4C, painting of play equipment. Is that something Brian
No, me.
John, beg your pardon.
I happened to take it up because I know Andy Solway anyway, and I spoke to him one day and said, look, we want to get a quote sometime. So I've only got some quotes for you for consideration, we're not taking it forward or anything like that. I told him that we needed the play equipment painted, that it had been suggested that the roundabout be painted in various colours, and somebody said it should be painted in red, white and blue. I also voiced our concerns about the paint used because of children, so he's aware of that, and also that the bottom of some of the frames were rusty, so that had to be attended to. So with that in mind, thank you for your inquiry, and please quote as follows: to rub down metalwork, spot, prime all rusty areas, apply 2 coats of metal paint. Quite a lot of work in that. The roundabout, £190 plus 60, the swings 180 plus VAT 55, and the play frame 290 plus 75. All up is a total of £850 for you to think about. And there is the quote.
Do you want to think about that for the next meeting?
The only other thing was, of course, the wooden play frames. Actually, they need some more stained waterproof from them.
Yeah.
But
I mentioned this a couple of meetings ago.
yeah, sure. But anyway, he came, he looked around, he gave us that quote. You could take a view on it.
Well, if we leave this much longer, the weather isn't going to be conducive to doing this. So could I propose that we instruct Mr. Selway to
money to do it.
propose, get on with this work?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're going to have a finance meeting at the next, the monitoring meeting at the next meeting. I mean, obviously our budgets are there. I mean, there is money available. It's just a question whether you wish to use it in that way.
What colour will they paint them the same colours they are now?
Well, that is for us to decide. So it hasn't been laid down. I don't know who it was. We walked around. Somebody said, well, look, let us paint the roundabout red, white and blue. Not my idea. It doesn't really matter. And then when we talked about yours, it doesn't really matter. He said, well, if you are looking at it that way, why don't you paint the whole lot in the same colours, red, white and blue? So it's all matching. And by the way, it does include cleaning and rubbing down the boards on the roundabout, which need cleaning and staining. We would do that.
I don't think white is a good colour for them.
So
Or it'd be brown.
Yeah.
we need a village referendum to see what colour we do.
So do you want that added to the next meeting agenda for decision making, or how do you want to play that?
Well, I just don't think white is a good colour for
No, I agree.
True.
you know, get rubbing.
No, I think white would be better. I don't think white's good.
Primary colours.
Yellow instead.
Yeah.
Red,
I
yellow,
mean, you
blue.
need
No,
it
turn
attractive for
mustard
children, don't you? That's the thing. You need to attract the young children.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So
Mustard
bright
and brown.
colours. Red, yellow and
Don't you presumably need to give them exactly what colours?
blue. Red, yellow and blue?
Yeah.
Yeah, red, yellow and blue. How about that? Nice and
Will
bright.
you engage Andy?
Yeah,
Good.
That's okay. Thank you. That's okay. Are we happy with that? Is that your
Can we,
wish that we should go ahead and do this?
can we just agree it, please? Show of hands. Thank you.
That's fine. Okay.
It's unanimous.
Okay.
And then we have
Speed
an
limits
item
in
on
the school.
speed limits near the school, John. You guys.
Yeah, I brought it out. I'm not doing more about it, but I was going through a little village on the way to Wells, and there was a sign up by the school which said, "School 20 miles an hour when lights show." And that struck me as being a very good idea. I haven't pursued it, but I don't know what you think, Bob. Have you seen that in other villages?
There's one in Cheddar, as you go into Cheddar. There's no lights, it just says 20 mile an hour speed limit, school.
But they had 20 miles an hour when light shows, so
It's normal.
It's quite common in Somerset to have
Yeah.
20 mile an hour limits when the schools. And in fact in Lyncham, they use their SID to flash up the 20 mile an hour speed limit.
well, I just put it for
We did actually have somebody, I don't know if you remember, Peter, I think you were involved, when Chris Betty came to the village, and we had quite a long discussion about it. And at the time he said that it wouldn't qualify for the 20 mile an hour speed limit. I can't remember what reason, there was a reason he gave us that it wouldn't qualify under normal circumstances.
Because all the parents park in the place where it says no parking.
But whether that rule has changed now, because that's something we need to investigate and see whether there's any change in that ruling.
Who was Chris Betty?
Chris Betty was a highways engineer who used to come out quite regularly, didn't he,
Yeah.
and visit us.
Yeah.
Do we have a replacement that we can
I
contact?
don't think we do these days. I think they've cut back to the film those sort of people now. But
Last time I saw the other guy, he was actually clearing the drains. He was the top man. He's in over it was spade.
do you want me to ask a question before the next meeting?
It'll be worthwhile if we can contact highways and ask the question, it doesn't hurt.
Okay.
But I think the issue is one of parking anyway, because we have no parking, lines, and they're ignored, so I don't suppose the 21-hour limit will be enforceable. Right, matters of report. Anything, Colin?
No, thank you.
John?
A couple of points actually, yes. There was an idea which I had regarding the plantation on the top of the knoll, which belongs to Mac Rich. I take their dogs up there to walk. A lot of people take dogs up there to walk. A lot of people really spread out from Lymsham. It occurred to me that Mac Rich is probably not getting any younger. In fact, I did speak to him, and he is 90 this year, and he is struggling around trying to maintain his plantation. He gets the rest of the family to cut the grass around. And I did mention it to him that it was such a facility for the people in the surrounding villages that maybe the parish councils could possibly help to maintain it. I spoke to Judy Webb one day when she was up there, and I mentioned it to Judy Webb, who actually took it forward, and about a month later when I saw her, she had an this should be unrecorded because it's not a formal proposal. They discussed it at East Brent Council, sub judice, and they thought it was a good idea and worth taking forward. And the suggestion was that perhaps Bob or I, the two of us, could go forward and talk to Mac. I happened to speak to Mac. I do think that if this should be considered, that Lymsham Parish Council should also be asked about it to see whether in some way we could preserve the facility for ourselves, and perhaps the three parish councils could consider paying some money, but nothing else is said. But it's a question of whether we pursue it. East Brent Parish Council were, generally speaking, in favour. We'd have to have an approach to...
Can we put it as an agenda item next time? We'll put it on as an agenda item next time for a formal discussion.
And now one small point is that entrance to the village looks very good, and the lady gardeners have actually, having volunteered to look after the flowers, have done it perfectly well. And I would have thought towards the end of the year now, at the end of the season, it would be quite appropriate, because we hope that they will do it again next year, that if our clerk could just write a small note of thanks for the work they've done this year.
Can you provide me with the addresses of those ladies?
Yeah, I'll get it done. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll send it by email.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you.
Anything, Peter?
The last meeting we said we'd investigate, we asked Bob to go down and said find out if we could take these signs down advertising for HGV drivers and other signs.
I think the best way of doing it would be, yes, unofficially, we can take them down. If they're on highway now, they shouldn't be there.
So we would have the powers of parish council anyway, I think.
Well, I asked that last time and they said they'd
We
find out.
don't have any specific powers as it stands to deal with signs. But
Possibly.
if there are things that are left up that shouldn't be there, then I don't see there's any harm in taking them down, because they have no authorisation
To put
to
them
be
on in the
attached
first
to
place.
a highway sign.
Okay. Bob, anything?
Could I just ask for one item to go on the next agenda, which is the Millennium Oak plaque?
Malcolm?
Yes, regarding the solar farm in Wick Lane, concerning access for heavy vehicles if and when they start developing the site. Is that going to go on for the next meeting?
So far, we're playing big actors.
Yes. Brian?
I'm looking for 2 or 3 volunteers to help me with a sack of daffodils, well, daffodil bulbs. So thank you. All right. And I should be away at the next meeting. Accept my project.
David, Bella,
No, thank you.
Andrea?
Can I raise a couple of
I'm going to say, can I just have one before you put your hands up? We have had an email about the post office, telephone box, and I think Owen did write round and say, can we adopt it for £1? Can we just have an agreement or otherwise on that? Has anybody got any bad feelings on not adopting it?
This is the adoption contract, which I've already downloaded and already started preparing.
It has to be
quite a
done
fulsome
before
document, as you can imagine.
Before our next meeting, that's the trouble.
My only comment is that I think if you do adopt it, the first thing you'll need to do is to get it painted, because it is important. If you're going to have a red phone box, it needs to be red and looked after.
Red,
So,
white, blue.
it needs to be looked after.
There's a couple of things there. BT apparently are prepared to identify exactly the colour that they use, because that's important, because you don't want to be doing it in burgundy or orange or something, because it wouldn't really look very authentic, would it? But BT are prepared to provide details of the colours. The other thing they're also prepared to do is to undertake to continue the electricity supply at their cost. This is BT's charitable element coming out, I suppose, where they're prepared to actually carry on paying electricity.
I propose that we buy
So we don't have to decide at this moment what we're going to do with it, but what we do have to agree on is that we are prepared to adopt.
Yeah, could be a village lock-up.
It might be a nice
Can't
shower.
lock it.
Put lots of children in there.
Can't lock it.
No, we can put shelters.
Throw cannabis in it. Sorry.
Okay. You have to do that. I thought you would be, I just said it was a formality really. The only other thing I wanted to also raise was that I've already had details coming now for Sedgemoor for the precept for next year. They're quite ahead of the game actually. Now, we will need to, in November meeting, start to think about precept for 2017-18, because by the 6th of January they're required to have that information from us. So we will actually have November and December to effectively nail it. We will be having a monitoring group meeting, finance monitoring group meeting, at the November meeting in the afternoon, where I'll hopefully have the budget kind of outlined about where we are now and where we intend to be at the end of the year. And that will be the basis. Okay, so that's done.
Anything else? Nothing? Good.
Nothing else.
Thank you very much. So our date, next meeting is going to be
2nd of November.
2nd of November. Shall we have that audit meeting?
Board meeting at 3 o'clock?
3 o'clock? Is that
Actually, we'll make it 2:30.
Might make it 2:30.
Quite a bit to do actually. 2:30 this final board meeting.
When?
2nd of November, day of the
in the
meeting.
afternoon?
Are you going to send it or?
I'll send you
I'm sure. All got my diary, that's
I'm going to give you my apologies in a second.
Okay, yeah, sure. Okay, that's fine. So it's yourself and Brian then.
And I sent you another letter to send to Matthew Ward today.
Is this a letter that you have to sign or me or?
Well,
I
to
have to sign it?
speak.
Is that fine?
He knows what it is.
Okay.
Okay.
That's fine.
But yeah, what we need to
I do have a couple.
check whether we received any money from
We can have a couple.
North and West.
So we are finished, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Thank you.